Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspired disorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Judas and the Black Messiah, new movie out on HBO Max, part of the day and date release, coinciding with the theatrical release. By far my favorite of the three movies so far to be released. I believe only it's the third of the movies to be released on HBO Max. You got the Wonder Woman sequel, which was horrible. You got The Little Things, which performances were good, but overall not a good movie. I didn't feel. This one, I thought was amazing. First off, the director has probably the best name ever in the history of humanity, Shaka King. Just an amazing name. I haven't seen any of his prior work. Looking forward to it. I was, just to kind of preface and frame my review of this film, I was extremely tired when I watched it. So even though I felt the performances were great, the writing was great, it's like from top to bottom a solid film. Like, it's got so many pieces to this film, and I feel like they all fit together perfectly. Tells a great story. But I never really emotionally connected with anything. Like a lot of the movies that I truly love, I feel like I'm being taken on an emotional journey. I never really related to anybody or connected with anybody, and I have a feeling that's more because I was tired. But I enjoyed it. The performances by the lead, Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield, great. This movie's the FBI versus the Black Panthers, or the FBI versus the social equality movement, or just the all of the cultural things that were changing of that time, and how the FBI had informants. And Lakeith Stanfield plays one of those informants, and the way they set that up, how he's even the way Lakeith Stanfield's character, Bill O'Neill, how he when they first introduce his character, like showing what he would steal cars, right? And he would pretend to be an FBI agent. And he says that when he gets caught and he's being interviewed, they ask him why he's using an FBI badge instead of just using a gun. And he's like, well, everybody can get a gun, but people are more scared of the FBI than they are of, guns getting shot. So that's why they don't ask questions. They just, and it's kind of a powerful statement to be said, that not only the FBI, I think now kind of just standard police departments wield that kind of power. And I think it's also, I think, why a lot of people involved in those organizations feel so entitled to really just be terrorists to innocent citizens, like beating up people. Like, we live in a country where you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, and that part, the whole proven guilty part, is supposed to happen in a court of law. But so many police officers and quote unquote law enforcement agents take it upon themselves to be the judge, jury, and sometimes the executioner, sometimes just the person that beats the fuck out of somebody. So I felt there was a lot of powerful moments and lines and things in this film, but I don't know, maybe it was just I just got off of watching the entire series of the Small Axe films on Amazon Prime. Maybe that's it. Like, Mangrove was there's like really powerful moments in those films. So maybe that kind of diluted any kind of emotional attachment I would have had to this film. But it's great. I mean, you have Lakeith Stanfield playing this FBI informant who joins the Black Panthers in an effort to try and take them down because, according to the FBI, they are the terrorist threat in the United States, which now the racist white supremacists and Proud Boys seem to have taken that baton. But also they seem to be getting away with it, which, I guess white privilege for terrorists is a like, when terrorists get away with their murder and trying to overthrow the government, when the terrorists get away with it, and it's pretty obvious that the color of their skin is why. because if they were any other color, if they had any other amount of melanin in their skin, they would have been treated far differently. Far differently. I think 2020 and then the beginning of 2021 with Trump trying to overthrow the government has really shown, really illustrated the vast difference in treatment depending on the melanin content in your skin. But yeah, this movie's great. I mean, it shows the complexity of what it is to be an informant, and almost kind of once you understand, once you get into a situation where you're in it, you start viewing it differently, and start viewing it for what it is more than the perception of what it is. And just great. I mean, it's like, and I think also part of why I wasn't emotionally invested is because we've seen so many of these films, even though this was told, I believe, from a different perspective. This is almost like the Departed in a way, where you have the informants, but it's told from a different perspective, a different story, but that same kind of a related, similar story of the informant trying to take people down, the criminals versus the law enforcement. But the law enforcement, in a lot of ways, is the villain in this film. So it's interesting. But I enjoyed it. There's moments where you see. I mean, it is somewhat more educational, I would imagine, for myself at least. Seeing the Black Panther movement, seeing more of it instead of just militant black people with guns trying to intimidate white people. Right, like one of the kind of things that they're trying to do, at least according to this film, which I would imagine is telling probably far more of an honest representation. They were trying to defeat capitalism with socialism, which I feel like we're still trying to do today. And they were trying to offer the people in the black community, free healthcare, free education, food, just whatever things that they would need because of poverty and social and institutionalized racism that keeps black people from owning property and owning businesses and really kind of economically pulling themselves out of the poverty that they keep being boxed into. Which even today it may not be as racially divided, as segregated as it was, but the poor people there's more poor people today than ever. The rich people are richer than ever. And at least in this country, with Bernie Sanders and everybody trying to fight for more of a socialized, socialist kind of a community and government to try and help people, because so many people are being marginalized and pushed out, and there versus the socialism that happens for the billionaires and millionaires in this country, which is ridiculous. Like it's selective socialism that we have now, and it only works for the rich, and it's ridiculous. But yeah, I enjoyed that moment. I enjoyed when he was trying to unify all the marginalized groups, trying to bring the gangs together, even went to I don't know if it was like a KKK rally or but they had a giant Confederate flag and they had their meeting, and it was clearly kind of uneducated, poor white people. But he combined them, and by he I mean Daniel Kaluuya's Fred Hampton, who this I guess is the main character, the guy who was part of the Black Panther movement that was trying to really create a movement to do real change in a lot of ways. A lot of spokes to the wheel of what he was doing, and one of them was bringing all the marginalized groups together. While the government wants to split us all apart, obviously there's strength in numbers. So bringing those communities together, seeing more of what their message was, all interesting, all amazing. The movie ends with you get to see the actual people, which is always fun when you see a movie based on true life, when you get to see the people that it was based on. I think the casting was amazing. I think they both kind of not only looked but had similar mannerisms, even though they only showed a little clip. But I would imagine both of those actors studied the true life people to kind of pull those things out. But you get to see Bill O'Neill, the informant, in an interview that I guess was a PBS documentary series focusing on it. And then there's a little information, a little postscript afterwards showing that shortly after that interview that he committed suicide. And it's amazing that like I can't imagine even living through what stress that might be, right? To be on the hook with the FBI, being forced to be their informant, or else, they pick you up on a thing, they threaten you with jail time, and they know how the government and the institutions treat black people, and then being forced to fight against something that you end up starting to believe in. It's a way good movie. The only thing I did not like, the president who plays the president. Jesse Plemons is in this, was great. Oh, Martin Sheen. Martin Sheen plays J. Edgar Hoover, and the makeup and the whatever he's doing with his accent or whatever, did not like. It was like it took me out in a lot of ways because it was just too much. And it was not that the makeup was, I don't know. It just really pulled me out because you could tell that he was trying to do more of a caricature, and I didn't even know who he was being, so it was ineffective. Not that I would have recognized what J. Edgar Hoover looked like or sounded like from that time. He should have just played it straight. But yeah, it was overall, I really enjoyed it. I could see this film. It's not my favorite of the year so far, just because it never sucked me in. And again, that could have been my fault being tired. But I could easily see this film being nominated. I could easily still see this film being winning. I hope the director, who also wrote the screenplay, Shaka King, interested to see what he does next. Would be amazing to see if he wins anything for this, either for, or at least nominated for directing or screenplay. But yeah, I felt like it was, one of those movies that has a lot of moving parts but didn't fall apart at all, which is difficult, especially coming off the heels of The Little Things, where it seems like not necessarily as many moving parts, but still falls apart. So yeah, check it out. If you have HBO Max, which you should, I mean, it's a great service. They have a bunch of stuff other than just HBO movies, but these day and date releases are cool to see. So check it out. Judas and the Black Messiah. It's a good movie. Highly recommend it. Make sure you support our sponsor, Ting, that's cell phone service at a reasonable price. Get yourself $25 in credit either to apply to a new phone or your monthly bill. It's the best coverage, same low rates, now with 3 coast-to-coast networks. Go through my link, inspireddisorder.com/Ting, and get yourself $25 in credit. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!